Aiden Bennett sat at the breakfast table, the early morning light streaming through the kitchen window. His laptop buzzed with emails, but he ignored them, savoring the moment. Across the table, his 10-year-old son Ethan spooned cereal into his mouth, his face lit up with excitement. "Dad, Dad!" Ethan began, his words muffled by the cereal. He swallowed quickly and thrust a brightly colored flyer toward Aiden. "Career Day is next week. You gotta come this time." Aiden raised an eyebrow, smiling at his son's enthusiasm. "Isn't this something your mom usually handles?" Ethan shrugged, his expression faltering. "Mom's busy. She's always got meetings or errands. And last year, she didn't come either." "Please, Dad. You can talk about your cool buildings." Aiden hesitated. His architecture firm demanded long hours, and free time was rare. But he hated disappointing Ethan. "All right, buddy," he said, ruffling Ethan's messy hair. "I'll be there." Ethan beamed, his excitement palpable. "You're the best, Dad." As Ethan ran off, Aiden leaned back, the smile fading from his face. Ethan's offhand comment lingered. Mom's busy. Lila had indeed seemed preoccupied lately. Longer grocery trips, vague explanations about errands, and a growing habit of retreating to her phone. At first, he'd chalked it up to life's natural ebb and flow. But now, he wasn't so sure. Aiden and Lila had been married for 13 years. They'd met during a summer art exhibit where she was showcasing her graphic design work, and he was scouting inspiration for a civic project. Their love had been intense, almost cinematic. She admired his ambition, and he was drawn to her creative spirit. The arrival of Ethan had shifted their dynamic. Lila transitioned to a part-time job, doing most of it from home, so she could spend more time with Ethan, while Aiden dove deeper into his career, driven by the need to provide. Lately, though, their marriage felt like a series of polite exchanges rather than a partnership. Conversations were surface level, and her laughter, once frequent, now felt rare and rehearsed. The next day, Aiden decided to surprise Lila with lunch. He left the office early, picked up her favorite sushi, and headed home. The house was eerily quiet when he arrived. He called out Lila, but there was no response. Her laptop sat open on the dining table, her calendar pulled up. Curious, Aiden scanned it. The week was blank. No meetings, no deadlines. A knot tightened in his stomach. He texted her, "Hey, where are you? Brought you lunch." It took several minutes for her reply, outrunning errands. "Be back soon." When she returned, she entered the house with a cheery smile. "Aiden, what's the occasion?" she asked, noticing the sushi on the counter. "Just thought you'd like a treat," he said, forcing a smile. "Where were you?" "Oh, just running some errands," she said breezily, avoiding eye contact as she grabbed a glass of water. The answer didn't sit right with him, but he let it slide for now. Career Day arrived, and Aiden found himself in Ethan's classroom, surrounded by curious kids. He showcased architectural blueprints and photos of completed projects, explaining how buildings come to life. Ethan beamed with pride, his eyes shining as he introduced his dad to his classmates. After the session, Ethan's teacher, Mrs. Harper, approached him. "Thank you for coming, Mr. Bennett. Ethan always talks about you and your wife." Aiden smiled politely. "I'm glad I could make it. Lila's usually better at these events, but she's been working a lot lately." Mrs. Harper frowned slightly. "Working? I thought she was volunteering at the community center on Thursdays." Aiden blinked. "Volunteering?" "She mentioned it during pickup a few weeks ago." "I assumed that's why she couldn't come today." Mrs. Harper trailed off, sensing his discomfort. Aiden forced a polite laugh. "She's involved in so much, it's hard to keep track." The drive home was quiet. Ethan chattered in the back seat, but Aiden's mind was elsewhere. Lila had never mentioned volunteering. What else wasn't she telling him? That night, Aiden confronted her casually. "How was your day?" he asked as they cleaned up after dinner. "Busy," Lila replied, her back to him as she loaded the dishwasher. "Mrs. Harper mentioned you've been volunteering at the community center," he said, keeping his tone light. Lila paused, her hand hovering over a plate. "Oh, that. Just something small. I didn't think it was worth mentioning." "Why not?" "It's no big deal, Aiden," she said, her tone clipped. Aiden didn't push further, but suspicion gnawed at him. Unable to shake his unease, Aiden called Marcus, his best friend since college. "Man, something's off," Aiden admitted. "You think she's cheating?" Marcus asked bluntly. "I don't know. Maybe. She's been secretive, and things just don't add up." "Hire a detective," Marcus suggested. "Better to know the truth than drive yourself crazy." Aiden hesitated. Spying on Lila felt like a betrayal, but as the days passed, his doubts grew. He finally contacted a private investigator named Frank, a no-nonsense professional who didn't mince words. "If your gut's telling you something's wrong, it probably is," Frank said. Reluctantly, Aiden handed over Lila's schedule and information. A week later, Frank delivered his findings. Aiden sat in his study, staring at the photos on his desk. There was Lila, laughing at a cafe with a man. They leaned close, their body language intimate. The man was Caleb, her college boyfriend, and currently a client of the company she was working for. Aiden's chest tightened. He'd heard her mention Caleb in passing over the years, but he'd never considered him a threat. That evening, Aiden confronted her. "Where were you last Thursday?" he asked, his tone casual as they sat down for dinner. Lila hesitated. "At a meeting." "No, you weren't," Aiden said evenly. "You were with Caleb." Her fork clattered onto her plate. "How do you?" "I hired someone," he interrupted, his voice cold. Tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't want to hurt you. You think this doesn't hurt?" Aiden's voice cracked. "Why Caleb?" "Of all people?" "It's not what you think," she said desperately. "We've just been talking. That's all." I felt lost, unseen. Caleb listened. "I've been listening for 13 years, Lila," he snapped. "It's you who stopped talking." Her tears flowed freely now. "You're never here, Aiden. You're always working. I'm alone all the time. And this is how you handle it. By cheating on me." The argument escalated, their voices echoing through the house. Eventually, Lila stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Aiden stood in the silence, his mind racing. Her defensiveness had all but confirmed his worst fears. She wasn't denying Caleb's involvement, only sidestepping it. Later that night, Aiden logged onto their shared computer. He knew she used it occasionally to back up her phone, and with some effort, he accessed the most recent files. What he found turned his simmering anger into a raging inferno. Photos of Lila and Caleb together, intimate and undeniable. Text messages followed, detailing their rendezvous, complete with plans for the weekend work trips she'd taken. Every word was a knife to the heart, but amidst the betrayal, clarity dawned. He wasn't going to wallow in self-pity or beg her to stay. If she had destroyed their marriage, then he would take control of how it ended. Revenge, cold and calculated, would be his closure. The first step was to confront Caleb directly. Aiden knew the gym Caleb frequented, and one afternoon he showed up unannounced. He spotted Caleb easily, smug and confident as always. "Caleb," Aiden said, his voice steady but icy. Caleb turned, momentarily surprised before regaining his composure. "Aiden, didn't expect to see you here. What's up?" Aiden didn't mince words. "I know about you and Lila. Every last detail. You're pathetic." For a brief second, Caleb's bravado faltered, but he quickly recovered, smirking. "Look, man, it's not what you think." "Save it," Aiden cut him off, leaning in close. "You think you've won? You think sneaking around makes you clever? I've got news for you. It makes you predictable. And trust me, Caleb, this isn't over." Without waiting for a response, Aiden walked away, leaving Caleb looking more nervous than cocky. Back at home, Aiden got to work. His revenge wasn't going to be impulsive or messy. It would be precise, a dismantling of everything Lila and Caleb thought they had. First, Aiden compiled all the evidence, photos, texts, and even phone records. He sent it to his lawyer, making it clear that he wanted the divorce proceedings to favor him. The lawyer assured him that with this kind of proof, the court would side with him, especially regarding custody of Ethan and division of assets. Next, he turned his attention to Lila's professional reputation. She prided herself on her standing in the marketing agency where she worked, often boasting about her spotless record. Aiden anonymously sent a package to her boss containing details of her affair with Caleb, a major client. He knew the company had strict policies about maintaining professional boundaries. Then came Caleb's turn. Caleb was vying for a promotion at his firm, and Aiden made sure his indiscretions wouldn't stay hidden. He reached out to Caleb's supervisor, claiming to be a concerned acquaintance, and hinted at the questionable relationship Caleb maintained with a married woman. It was subtle but effective, planting seeds of doubt in Caleb's professional circle. But Aiden saved the best for last. He organized a gathering at their home, inviting friends, family, and a few of Lila's closest colleagues under the guise of a casual dinner party. Lila was suspicious, but assumed Aiden was trying to patch things up. On the night of the event, Aiden stood before their guests, raising a toast. "To honesty and loyalty," he began, his voice calm but cutting. "Qualities I've come to appreciate more than ever in recent weeks." He turned to Lila, a mocking smile playing on his lips. "And to my dear wife, who has taught me the importance of transparency by showing me what happens when it's completely absent." The crowd was silent, confused, and uncomfortable. Aiden gestured to a screen he had set up in the living room. "Lila, I think it's time everyone sees the true picture of our lives." With a click, he played a slideshow of the damning evidence. Photos of Lila and Caleb, screenshots of their messages, and records of their secret meetings. Gasps and whispers filled the room as Lila's face turned ghostly pale. "Get out," Aiden said coldly as the slideshow ended. "Pack your things and leave tonight. The divorce papers are already in motion." Lila tried to stammer out an explanation, but the damage was done. Her friends avoided her gaze. Her colleagues muttered about the scandal, and her world began to crumble around her. Aiden didn't stop there. Over the next few weeks, he ensured that both Lila and Caleb faced the consequences of their actions. Lila's job became a nightmare, with whispers of her affair circulating the office. Caleb's promotion was quietly given to someone else, his credibility tarnished. As for Aiden, he focused on rebuilding his life. The divorce was finalized swiftly, and he gained full custody of Ethan. They moved to a new home, and Aiden was determined to provide his son with a stable and loving environment. So guys, what are your thoughts on Aiden's situation? Did he handle it well? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.